Hello, my name is Philip Hubbard, and today I'm going to give a presentation on how to build a fire. Now, many of you may be wondering why I chose this topic, or why this topic interests me. I chose it because I was a Boy Scout for many years, and got my Eagle Scout, and I've all my life have thoroughly enjoyed outdoor skills, and fire building is one of my favorite things to do. So today I'm going to give a presentation on how to build a fire. There are three things that a fire needs to start: oxygen, heat, and fuel. A fire cannot start if it doesn't have all three things. Fuel. You want to start with twigs smaller than your pinky finger and move to sticks as thick as your fingers. And then finally start putting on logs as big as your arm and increase from there. So what this means is you want to start with really tiny twigs. This is kind of like your basis for your fire, and is what, because when a flame starts out, it's not very powerful, so it can't immediately light a log. And then sometimes you see these people out in the woods with, or like campgrounds and stuff, where they pour lighter fluid on a log and they light it and they expect it to work. And I can tell you from experience, that's not how it works. Sure, you get a lot of flame early on, but it's really just burning the lighter fluid, and the logs, once the lighter fluid is consumed, the log and the fire itself usually just goes out. And that's due to the fact that the flame just isn't powerful enough to consume a log. And that's why you want to start with really small sticks and then move up slowly in size. This gives the fire time to grow in proportion to your fuel size. Fuel considerations. So you want to use dry, dead wood. So nothing green. Green wood will burn, but it'll burn much slower, and it'll be hard to light. And another thing is that it will have a hard time igniting, and it'll burn like very smoky and not very clean. So it's not going to produce a big flame, and it's just not going to burn very well. So in general, you want to burn dead wood and dry. Wet wood is not going to light very well. I can speak from experience on many wet campouts. Most of the fire starting difficulties were caused by just trying to dry out the wood in order for it to light. Sappy wood, such as pine or sassafras, are good fire starters. So in the top left corner is a picture of sassafras I took, and in the bottom right corner is sassafras leaves. So sassafras is a common tree around here. It's kind of got reddish bark. The twigs themselves are very red. They're distinctly bright, kind of like bright green when they are when they're alive. But sassafras is very good for starting fire starters because it's very sappy, so it lights easily, and will even burn decently when green. Pine is another sappy wood. In the bottom left, there is a picture I took on my property of some pine sticks. You can see that there's no bark on the pine, and that's when you know that it's dead. Is the pine will often shed its bark. And this is also good sappy wood and will light easily. In the top right is another picture I took from my property. It's a cherry log. Cherry is an example of a hardwood. Hardwoods won't necessarily light as easily, but when lit, will stay lit for a long time and are not going to burn very quickly, and the fire will just slowly consume them, and they're great for like long-lasting fires. So like cherry or oaks or like hickories, those are all hardwoods, and your fire will last a long time. Oxygen. The other thing a fire needs is oxygen. So you need to make sure there's enough airflow, and you need to leave a gap between sticks and the ground. So the fire may have a hard time igniting if the sticks are just lying directly on the ground. In addition, if the sticks are lying directly on the ground can make the sticks wet, and the stick can have a hard time lighting. So you want your sticks to be kind of like propped up against something and not just piled on the ground. And then once the sticks are lit, you don't want to like smother it. So it can be very frustrating and easy to do when you get the fire started to just immediately just start piling sticks high on it. But if you don't give the fire time to burn, to kind of the flame to like flicker up through the sticks, it'll oftentimes just kind of put out the fire with too many sticks. Heat. So the easiest way is just use a match. Like hold the match when you light it, hold it upside down to give the flame time to creep up, and stick it into the pile of small sticks. So that's kind of the most common way. It's what everyone uses. A magnifying glass or a flint and steel can also be used, although these are a lot harder and require more complex fire building processes and where to work. So, as someone who built a lot of fires, I would just recommend just use matches. They're they're the easiest, and that's for a reason. I mean, it's just very easy to do. Finally, let's delve into the types of fires. So this is from the old Scouting Handbook, and you can see my head's kind of in the way. It's a log cabin fire, kind of where my head is, and then there's a vigil fire, start fire, and then a reflector fire, and a trench fireplace. So these are all different types of ways of building fires. They each serve a purpose. Start fire is like kind of like long lasting. If you don't want to like do a lot of work, you don't want your fire to last a long time, then you won't have to get up and get sticks a lot. It's kind of as the wood burns, just shove it deeper into the fire. Trench fires, you can see if you don't have a lot of wood, you can kind of shove wood in there, and the pots don't need to the pot gives the pots a stable place to stay. Reflective fire should hopefully reflect the heat off the back and back towards you, so it should make the fire a little warmer. And then obviously a log cabin fire is kind of your big one, to stack wood as high as you can, kind of like a bonfire kind of thing. I've also seen alternate like teepee fires where you build the fire like a teepee and then you light it. But these are kind of some of your basic fire lighting types of fires, I should say. These are my sources. These are where I got all my pictures and some of the sources that I referenced when making this presentation. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time.